Welcome to incredibly useful exercises for the double bass, where we condition specific aspects of our performance in short, stolen moments. Welcome to the first of a 6-part series on spiccato, the bouncing bow stroke. This series explores the techniques and applications of spiccato as they relate to different tempos and bouncing styles. Here's how we're breaking this series down. General overview and preparation, medium spiccato, heavy spiccato, light spiccato, sautille and flex strokes, and then last is spiccato between 100 and 120, which I call the break. Today's our general overview and preparation. We'll explore how to hold the bow efficiently while bouncing, how the bow bounces, and play the Trampolines basketball exercise. This will set us up for the next 5 episodes when we get into the heart of spiccato frequency management. I want to thank Joey Nager for his generous support of this series. Joey has been my go-to luthier for over 5 years. He sculpted my fingerboards buzz-free on both my 1850 English orchestra bass and my solo bass, making them so easy to play, and his tone work on my basses keeps them sounding full, free, and beautiful. Many professional working bassists throughout Texas rely on Joey for fixing and maintaining their treasured instruments. The Joey Nager prize-winning basses are also wonderful instruments. Please visit Joey's website listed below, and if you happen to be in the Houston area, pay him a visit to play his basses and to see how he can improve the playability and tone of your instrument. Spiccato is the one technique among all string players that has single-handedly caused the greatest amount of stress, frustration, broken bows, and basses thrown down stairways that I have ever seen. Even in my own preparation, spiccato is what made me want to quit more than any other aspect of bass playing. One day it's working perfectly and your Mozart sounds crystal, and then the next day your bow's stuck to the string like glue, your hands are uncoordinated, and your Mozart sounds like a construction site. Spiccato is a necessary part of our musical journey and, when done right, adds a whole other dimension to our musical and accompanimental vocabulary. So let's see how we can learn spiccato without it driving us to cut our strings with bolt cutters. Let's start with the bow hold, the foundation for an efficient spiccato. As a disclaimer, most of this series will be focused on the French bow since that's my mastery. I can demonstrate some of these tempos with an underhand bow hold, but truthfully there are some tempos that I just cannot pull off with the German bow. So I'll approach the theory behind the strokes and encourage you to find it in your way. Also, I'd love to have some discussions in the comments about solutions and challenges for the German bow. But as far as the bow holds go, I've always felt that the underhand hold does have a significant advantage over the overhand hold with regards to the natural contact points on the stick and the angle of elbow to the stick. And I will say that my spiccato on French bow didn't really mature until I explored the advantages of the German bow. Here's what I mean by this. Consider the bow holds of the upper strings. The thumb is on the bottom of the stick and the fingers are on the top. This is perfect for upper strings since the bow is bouncing in the same direction as gravity. Gravity goes down and the thumb balances the stroke in strict opposition to the force of gravity. Now, watch what happens when we transfer this overhand bow hold to the position of low string spiccato. Notice that the thumb on the bottom of the bow and the fingers on top are now working perpendicular to gravity. For the French bow, this causes a lot of problems. Because in spiccato, much of the bow stroke is off the string. This seems like a stupidly obvious thing to point out, but it's necessary to realize and contemplate that when we hold the bow in the air off the string, we're not really keeping it off the string. We're keeping it from falling to the floor. And here's where the German bow is perfect for a lifted bow. If I hold the bow underhand, my hand is set up perfectly to keep the hand off the floor, to keep the bow off the floor. The second finger is on the bottom of the stick, counteracting gravity, and the crook of my thumb is on the top of the stick. With this hold, I can hold the bow off the ground all day and not get tired. If I hold the bow overhand, with my fingers set up perpendicular to gravity, the only way I can keep it off the floor is to pinch it. If you've ever had your right hand or your thumb muscles tight or tired after practicing your spiccato, this is the reason. So the solution for our French bow hold spiccato problem is to adjust your thumb to the top of the stick and your index finger to the bottom. I raise my wrist, get my thumb on top, and get it to the point where I can balance the bow off of the string using leverage and architecture. It took me a few weeks of experimenting before I found the right position for me, so don't expect to get this right away. Be patient with it, and I know it'll work for you. Also, I do use latex surgical tubing on my bow, which widens my bow hold and allows me to use a softer hold without dropping the bow. The best way to practice this hand position is to hold the bow and just walk around with it. You don't even need to play. Just carry it with you for a long time and you'll find the position. Now let's look briefly at how the bow bounces. We're dealing with 3 elastic surfaces working in tandem to create a bounce: the string, the stick, and the hair. The string flexes and rebounds, the hair bends and rebounds, and the stick acts like a spring which loads when it hits the string and then jumps off, carrying the hair with it. Sounds simple, right? String, hair, and stick. Easy. So what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is that small changes in any one of those 3 factors will change the behavior of the bounce. If you change the strings from a steel core to a synthetic core, the string will be more elastic and the bow won't bounce as fast. If you over or under tighten the bow compared to what you did yesterday, it changes both the elasticity of the hair and the stick. And if the humidity changes, or you put a little more rosin or less rosin, or even change to new rosin or get your bow rehaired, all of that can change the interaction of the 3 surfaces. Yes, it's complicated and infuriating trying to figure out how things change from day to day. But we're in luck because we have the Trampolines basketball exercise, which will help us learn the elasticity of the string, stick, and hair. Let's play through this. It's the best place to start. Trampolines basketball is 1 minute long, control is 3, mindfulness is 2, and the rest are 0. We play these for the development of sensitivity to the elasticity and balance of the hair and stick, and also for the study of the different arm motions required to bounce the bow at every point in the bow. It's not so much of an exercise, any more than learning how to bounce a basketball is an exercise. Think of it as a playground. It's something you do and you let it teach you how it wants to work. The more you do it, the more you'll learn. And the good thing is that there's really no wrong way to do this. Here's how we do it. We bounce the bow lazily at the tip, like bouncing on a trampoline. Any speed or height will work. I keep the bow hold soft so that my fingers can feel the spring of the stick into my fingers. Remember to keep your thumb adjusted toward the top of the stick and keep your fingers soft so the fingers don't restrict the bounce. Here's how it looks on the German bow. I can stop at any time and check the balance of the stick. So I start at the tip, slowly move the bow toward the frog, keeping the bouncing bead the same. Here's where the motion of my arm has to change from the doorknob motion to more balanced bounce. Watch how your arm motion has to change to bounce the bow. French bow players, try this underhand. German bow players, try it overhand. You can even try holding the bow wrong, at the screw or at the frog. See what happens when you change your position. You'll learn a lot from this. When you go back to your bow hold, allow the stick to bounce as freely as when you were holding it wrong. Everything changes when you hit the balance point. Notice how, once you get past the balance point, you need to engage the forearm and wrist in the bounce, similar to the motion of bouncing a basketball. It's really clumsy at the balance point, and past it, it's just like a basketball. Here's how it looks on the German bow. So from the frog, I return to the tip, keeping the same bounce speed. Try it again at different speeds and see what happens. Keep everything loose and let the bow talk to your fingers. Don't squeeze the stick because you'll stifle the natural bounce. If I lose the bounce, I don't panic or rush. I just pick up the bow and start again. And that is Trampolines basketballs. Simple and ultimately educational. And that is the general overview of Spiccato. Balanced bow hold, 3 elastic surfaces work together to make the bow bounce, and the Trampolines basketball teaches us sensitivity and muscle movement in different parts of the bow. Now that we know all this, we can start methodically breaking down the Spiccato exercise into 4 styles: medium, heavy, light, and sautille, and 12 tempo families at the 10s, starting at quarter note equals 50 and going up to 160. Let the trampolines and basketball become part of your daily play. It doesn't have to be formal practice. Just spend some time bouncing the bow easily and freely and follow your curiosity. The more comfortable you get with a relaxed bouncing hand and forearm, the smoother the next steps will get. Play with as many types of spiccato as you can between 50 and 160 and start a journal for tempos. Keep track of which ones are easy for you and which ones are tricky. It'll come in handy as we go through the series. And hopefully, this series will give you some method and patience to learning spiccato and will prevent angry episodes of people throwing their bass out of a window. For you orchestral students, teachers, and professionals, check out the description of this video. I've categorized our most common spiccato bass excerpts according to style and tempo. I hope this will give you some specific direction and purpose to how you choose to practice and apply the spiccato exercise. There are 2 things you need to know about the tempo markings in the list. The first is that I've converted the compound meters, 3/4, 6/8, and 9/8, into tempos measured as 16th notes in 4/4 time. So for instance, 8th notes in 6/8 time at 120 is the same bouncing speed as 4/4 16th notes at 90. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Here's 120, here's 90. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I know this sounds confusing, but it's actually a quicker way to associate a tempo directly with the physicality of the spiccato stroke. Also, all of the listed excerpt tempos are just approximations, and in the end, each tempo is really up to the whim of the conductor. I hope you find the list useful. Let me know of any other excerpts you'd like to see on the list, and I'll be happy to add them. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you find Trampolines basketball and this exploration of spiccato as useful for your performance as it has been for mine. I present this in the way that I've used and benefited from it. I don't intend to say that it's the only way to practice or approach spiccato. You can adapt these ideas to your style of curiosity, conditioning, or teaching. Practice this and all exercises in this series in short, stolen moments, or incorporate them into your regular conditioning routine. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this, and leave any questions, comments, observations, success stories, or suggestions below. Please check out the incredibly useful exercises series of workout books, available in paperback and ebook on the Amazon site in your country. I look forward to you joining me next time. Thank you, and be well, friends.